Good afternoon, children. Welcome to 8th standard online science class. Hope you are all safe by the grace of God. So, today onwards, we will begin our second term portions, children. So, in physics, we are going to start the physics next lesson, third lesson, force and pressure. Force and pressure. So, what is force? You know that a pull or push is a force, isn't it? The force applied perpendicularly or normally to the surface of a body is called thrust. We already know this force and thrust. Am I right? Yes, we are going to concentrate on turning effect of force in this chapter and also about pressure. Turning effect of force and the pressure we are going to concentrate in this lesson. First, the turning effect of force. So, what is the turning effect of force? Look at this picture. What is this picture? A pencil is tend to rotate. A pencil is tend to rotate. It has a fixed point, isn't it? It has a fixed point. Here, this is the fixed point, right? And the other end moves and creates a circle. Am I right, children? So, this fixed point, that is, the object is moving about an axis, and such a rotation or such a motion is called to be rotational motion. Such a motion is called to be rotational motion. Do you understand what is a rotational motion? Just recall whatever you have studied in your earlier classes, 6th, 7th and all. You have studied about this rotational motion, isn't it? So it is an example of rotational motion. So what is the difference between this translational motion and rotational motion? Translational motion means linear motion, that every point of a rigid body get displaced by the same amount, isn't it? In linear motion, and that the object which is undergoing motion will be displaced. But here in this case, in the rotational motion, one point of the rigid body remains fixed and other points moves along circles. The fixed point is a pivot and the line passing through this point is the axis of rotation. So this fixed point, that is called to be pivot. Pivot, pivot. Okay, that fixed point is called to be pivot, and the line passing through the point of this rotation, the imaginary line passing through this line of action. Okay, this rotation is called to be the axis of rotation. Is it clear, children? Do you understood what is a pivot and what is a axis of rotation? Hope you so. Here are the some lifeline examples from our day-to-day life. The steering wheel of the car. Here the force acts in the first case. The force acts in opposite direction, though the force acts in opposite direction, but the what about the wheel? The wheel will, though it the forces are acting in different direction, but the wheel moves in a single direction. Okay, the wheel moves in the single direction here. So here the axis of rotation is at the center of the steering. The center of the steering is the axis of lies the axis of rotation. Okay, children. Similarly, the old tap used in olden days, that is also a best example for this turning effect of force. Okay, children. They understood. Similarly, doors and windows. The doors and windows are hinged at one end. When we open them, we apply a force on the handle at the other end. The hinged end is fixed. Am I right? Yes. This is the axis of rotation about which the door or window turns. Each point on the door or window that is away from the axis describes a circle, right? So it is similar to the pencil experiment we have seen. So the fixed point is called as pivot and the line passing through it is called to be what? The axis of rotation. Do you understood this? Shall we enter into the next one? Yes. Okay, the next topic is momentum of force. Momentum of force is the measure of the turning effect of force on a body. Okay, the turning effect of a force on a body is called to be what? Momentum of a force. It is also called as torque. T-O-R-Q-E, torque. Okay, children. So, momentum of force can be calculated by multiplying the force into perpendicular distance of force from the pivot. The perpendicular distance of the force from the pivot and the force. The product of these two will give you the momentum of force. Will give you the momentum of force. The SI unit of this torque is Newton meter. The SI unit is Newton meter, because you know that the SI unit of force is Newton, isn't it? The SI unit of force is Newton. Am I right? Yes. The perpendicular distance is nothing but meter. Perpendicular distance means meter. So, the unit of torque is Newton meter. Newton meter. Do you understand? Yes. The distance. Do you understand? Okay, now the momentum arm. What is momentum arm? The distance of the line of action of the force from the pivot is called the momentum arm. Consider the case of spanner. The case of spanner. See in the spanner, this end is the water. This end is seem to be the fixed one. Am I right, children? Yes. And this is the pivot. That means it is the pivot, and the distance between them, the distance of line of action. Which is the line of action? Here we will be holding the hammer. Am I right? Here we will be holding the spanner. So this is the distance. This distance is called to be the moment of the distance between the place where we are holding the spanner and the fixed end. Pivot is called to be the momentum arm. Momentum arm. Increasing the momentum arm. If the momentum arm is increased, the force momentum force will be increased. The momentum force will be increased. Okay, momentum arm is increased means force momentum will also be increased. Keep in mind, the distance between the pivot and the force of line of force of action is said to be momentum arm. This momentum arm is increasing, then the momentum of the force will also be increased. So here is the pivot of the spanner. This is the pivot end of the spanner. Here we will be holding the spanner. So the distance between these two will give you the moment arm. When this increases, which will be increasing? Force momentum will be increasing, that is torque will be increasing. Okay, children? Okay, if the effect of force is to rotate a body in the anti-clockwise direction, the momentum of the force is called anti-clockwise momentum and is taken to be positive. Okay, if the effect of force, if we are applying the force, and the force tend to rotate that object in anti-clockwise direction, then the momentum is also called as anti-clockwise momentum. Okay, the momentum is also called as anti-clockwise momentum, but it is an positive integer. Okay, and if the effect of the force is to rotate the body in the clockwise direction, if it tends to rotate the body in a clockwise rotation, then it is called as clockwise momentum, and it is taken to be negative. You understood? If the force applied makes the body to rotate in an anti-clockwise direction, then the momentum of force is also anti-clockwise, and it is a negative quantity. It is a positive quantity. Okay, similarly, if the force applied makes the object to rotate in the clockwise direction, you know what is clockwise direction? In this direction, then we call it as a clockwise momentum. It has clockwise momentum, and it is considered to be a negative integer. Is it clear, children? A body is said to be in rotational equilibrium. When a body is said to be in rotational equilibrium, when the sum of the anti-clockwise moments acting on it is equal to the sum of the clockwise moments acting on it, so that the body has no rotational motion. Okay, so when a body is said to be in equilibrium, rotational equilibrium, see, when it will occur at clockwise moment and anti-clockwise moment, we have seen. If the force made them to rotate in clockwise, means the momentum is called clockwise momentum. If it makes the body to rotate in anti-clockwise direction, we call it as anti-clockwise momentum. And also the quantities, if it is anti-clockwise momentum, it is a positive quantity, and if it is an clockwise momentum, it is a negative quantity. Just now we have seen, isn't it? So when this condition of rotational equilibrium will be achieved, rotational equilibrium will be achieved. The rotational equilibrium will be achieved when the sum of clockwise moments and anti-clockwise moments are equal to each other. Okay, are equal to each other. When you add all the clockwise moments together and all the anti-clockwise moments together, and we found that they are equal in numbers, then we say that the body undergoes no rotational motion. Okay, the body will never undergo no rotational motion. Such a condition is called to be rotational equilibrium. Do you understood what is a rotational equilibrium? Yes, I hope you have understood what is a rotational equilibrium, and this is known as principle of moments. This is known as principle of moment. What is principle of moment? I repeat, a body is said to be in rotational equilibrium when the sum of the anti-clockwise moments acting on it is equal to the sum of the clockwise moments acting on it, so that the body has no rotational motion. Hope you have understood today's class well, children, and I enjoyed it. We will continue the same lesson in our next class, children. Thank you, children. Meet you in the next class. Do your assignment and report without fail, children. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe, obey your parents.